Hi, I am Megamin, and in this theory video, we'll be learning some alchemy and how to make a philosopher's stone to decode what Rhinedottir was planning to do by creating Albedo. But before that, you need to understand this is going into uncharted territory in the game, and I will be getting a lot of information from our world to fill in the pieces that are missing in the game lore. I usually am against the idea of taking information from our world and plugging it into the game lore, but alchemy is already very superstitious and kinda considered fantasy. And maybe I'm a big fan of Full Metal Alchemist. So this theory might seem like a fairy tale at first, rather than a theory. Who knows? Let's find out. And don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing, because I upload theories and lore videos like this one every week. Oh boy, this video is going to have a lot of layers before we get to the bottom. Alchemy is an art form, a practice, or a philosophy that studied chemistry, biology, astrology, and etc. But it's most commonly known to us in our world as some crazy old dude trying to transmutate lesser metals like iron or copper into precious metals like gold, silver, and platinum. Spoiler alert, most of them failed except for very few people like this guy and this guy, or attaining immortality. But that's not the important point here. In Genshin world, alchemy or khaenri'ah is used mostly to create artificial life forms from the information we currently have. And one more thing that we will be talking about today. But before that, we need to learn what a philosopher's stone is. Philosopher's stone is a stone most alchemists try to unlock to create gold from other metals, and in some cases attain immortality. It was considered the primordial elixir. The process of making a philosopher's stone is named magnum opus or the great work, and it has 4 steps in creating process. Nigredo is blackness, crude or corruption. Basically, raw materials for creating the philosopher's stone. But no alchemist had the same recipe. Next is Albedo, which cleans the raw materials found in Nigredo, making it whiteness. Then Citrinitas refines the materials cleaned by Albedo using the power of the sun, making it yellowness. Lastly, we have redness or rubedo, which is the final product of the philosopher's stone. Now we can start connecting dots. As we learned above, Albedo is just the second step in making a philosopher's stone, which makes gold. Another thing a philosopher's stone can do is making the holder immortal, making them the primordial human, as said in Albedo's story at the end of Act 2 of the Shadows Amidst the Snowstorm questline.
Then as the abandoned experiment, the failure of the primordial human project.
But Albedo is just the second step. There was a step before and 2 more steps after him. Now, if we look into the Cinnabar spindle, it calls Albedo the user to reach a new destiny for his master Rhinedottir and his brothers. Even though Albedo calls Durin one of his brothers, Durin is not directly related to the same primordial human project, like Albedo and his elder brother, the imposter we saw standing on the top of the mountain looking at Albedo. No, he acknowledges Durin as his brother, instead calls him the dragon.
Master's failed specimen in the dragon's belly.
But the imposter we saw is just one brother. Since the sword calls for brothers, there should be more. Connecting this with the magnum opus, there should be 4 homunculi made for the same primordial human project, making Albedo second. Therefore, his elder brother should have been named Nigredo, first step, and making the last 2 unknown brothers Citrinatus and Rubedo. Remember, this is all for symbolism and have different processes than the real deal, since they are synthetic humans with consciousnesses and not random salts and sulfur mixes. The relationship between Albedo and Nigredo is much stronger than the other 2, because the 2 steps essentially does the same thing but to different extents. Nigredo separates the raw materials, separate the dust in the flames with joy, and Albedo cleans the raw materials, extract the exquisite from the crude. Look at these lines. Master's
failed specimen in the dragon's belly. This is where the story truly begins.
And if we
We
switch,
switched places. If you were the survivor.
these two lines indicate that the two brothers Albedo and Nigredo was both made in the same alembic known as the dragon's belly or Durin's stomach. But during the experiment, Nigredo didn't survive, but Albedo succeeded. On a side note, Cinema Spindle calls Nigredo a unicorn by saying, "You must pursue that which your elder brother, the one-horned white horse, could not accomplish." We know that from Albedo's words that Nigredo imitated Albedo to take his place, making the look he is in now fake.
I'd want to replace you too. I would replicate your appearance.
But there is one problem. In the magnum opus, Nigredo is called blackness and symbolized by a raven. This is why he is a failure. He was not able to take the true intended form of blackness by absorbing the corruption from the dragon's belly, but instead failed and stayed the same form he was made, white chalk, making him useless to the project and being considered dead by his master. My first thought when coming up with this theory was that God created homunculi to attain godhood artificially by killing herself and reincarnating again and again using the homunculi by going through the magnum opus process and evolving herself until she touches singularity and become the truth itself. But that's just my Full Metal Alchemist mind acting up. Primordial human is the first ever human made by God, the union of male and female or Adam and Eve. God first created Adam, then from him Eve was created, which in turn are twins. The unison of the pair makes the true primordial human created by the real God. But since MiHoYo likes to make soup with mythologies, our male and female pair is both the primordial human and the pair sent by the true God to save humanity in the Gnostic myths. Rhinedottir saw the twins and their power during the time they fell into khaenri'ah and was obsessed by them or got the idea of becoming as close to God, mimicking the power of the twins. I believe the whole thing with the Whopper flower mimicking Albedo is a foreshadowing of Rhinedottir's behavior in mimicking the union of the twins or the primordial human. This will definitely sound crazy, but hang on with me. Her plan was to create a Philosopher's Stone equivalent human vessel using the 4 magnum opus steps, which in our case are the 4 possible primordial human project homunculi created by Rhinedottir, including Albedo. She would use the final brother, Rubido, as the male counterpart in the yin and yang pair. By doing this, she could fuse with him and reach the primordial human position artificially using khaenri'ah. This is why her name was changed to gold. The Philosopher's Stone makes ordinary metals into precious metals like gold. Similarly, after creating the stone, she changed and so did her name. But, big but, she failed the project on the first step and went mad. You see, like I said before, the first step in the magnum opus project, Nigredo, was a failure at the time. He died in the dragon's belly, but Rhinedottir kept going with the project without redoing the project from the beginning. This caused the final product to be a defective Philosopher's Stone, making the holder go mad. This also explains why gods decided to go after her and khaenri'ah. Because she tried reaching godhood artificially and made monsters in the process, gods were pissed and destroyed everything relating to her, meaning destroying the entire nation of khaenri'ah where khaenri'ah was invented. Okay, to recap, Rhinedottir created 4 homunculi in order to replicate the twins and their power of the union to become the primordial human, using the alchemical method known as the magnum opus. But she failed in the first step of the project, making the male counterpart defect, making her go mad. In the process, she made abyss monsters, making the gods pissed off, ultimately causing the downfall of khaenri'ah. This is the end of my observations. Maybe I am crazy to think like this, but hey, this is just a theory in a random dude's head on the internet. Smash like if you enjoyed the video. Tell me your thoughts in the comments and consider subscribing to the channel. As always, thanks for watching and until next time, let your imagination run wild.